Always good to catch up with Tim Finnegan, DK contributor. Adam Kaufman here with you. And of course, when Tim's around, when I get to be with Tim, it's all about UFC, and it's happening. Fight night in Las Vegas. How are you, buddy?
I'm hanging in there. How about you?
Well, we'll see. It remains to be seen, depending on how well I make it through these questions. We got some tough names. This is typical, obviously, the MMA world. Let's dive in here. Coming up this weekend, we have got the men's flyweight division. You have Alexander Pantosia and Brandon Royval, those two going head-to-head, of course, and different sides coming in, obviously, for these two. I mean, Royval, he suffered a first-round knockout in his most recent fight. Pandosia, surprisingly, coming off a unanimous decision victory and only slightly favored on account of that at minus 165 on the DraftKings Sportsbook. So are you chasing or fading Royval here to pull the upset at plus 145?
So I'm going to fade Royval in this fight. Royval's coming off shoulder surgery. He dislocated his shoulder in his last fight against Brandon Moreno, who's the champion of the weight class now. And speaking of Moreno, Pantosia has 2 wins over Moreno. One of them was a really impressive rear naked choke finish. It happened on the Ultimate Fighter, so it's not listed on his official fight record because it's technically an exhibition. But he does have 2 wins over the champion in this weight class. And Pantoja has fought Davison Figueiredo. He took him to decision. Like that was a tough fight. So I think Pantoja just has more experience, and he's just ahead of Royval at this stage of his career. I think he's up in the pecking order. So I'm going to go with Pantoja in this fight.
Second fight of the night, we are going to review. It is the men's lightweight division. Vince Pichelle and Austin Hubbard step into the octagon. Now, Tim, you can look at these guys virtually identical in basically every area. You look back at height, weight, record. The only difference, Pichelle has not fought since 2020. Hubbard obviously has. And the DraftKings Sportsbook is taking notice of the similarities between these two. In fact, the line right here, it's Hubbard just minus 115 as the favorite. So in terms of chasing or fading here, are you going to, pick one side? Is this thing just too close to call, do you think?
So I actually am going to pick one side. Pichelle's averaging a lot of takedowns. He's averaging about 4 takedowns per 15 minutes, which is really strong takedown volume. And Hubbard's takedown defense isn't that good. He's only stopping about 58% of opponent takedown attempts. So I can see a path to victory for Pichelle in this fight, and that's with takedowns and control time. So I do lean towards him. If I had to make a pick on this fight, I'd pick Pichelle.
All right, let's look at a couple of big boys here. The men's heavyweight division taking center stage. You have Parker Porter, Chase Sherman. They will be squaring up, going head-to-head here. And it's for Sherman, it's kind of an uphill battle, right? He's got the 4-inch height advantage here on Porter. Also 4-1 his last 5 fights, 4 knockouts. So are you going to chase or fade Porter pulling off the upset at plus 160?
So this is a heavyweight fight. So who knows what's going to happen in this fight? Like, heavyweights can be unpredictable because they punch really hard. The technique isn't quite as tight as the lighter weight classes. The skill level is not quite as elite as the lighter weight classes. But both these fighters throw a lot of strikes, and they both absorb a lot of strikes. So Sherman, like you said, he does have the height and reach advantage in this fight. And because there's so much striking volume thrown in this fight, I think there's a pretty good chance for a knockout. Chase Sherman on DraftKings Sportsbook is plus 120. That's a way to get the money line down from minus 190. So I'm going to lean towards Sherman in this fight.
Let's go back to the men's lightweight division, the co-main event here. You have Clay Guida, and on the other side of this fight, you have Mark Madsen. They'll enter the cage. It's interesting. What I really like here is sort of inexperience versus the grizzled vet, right? You got 10-0 right now, Madsen in his young career, and Guida, of course, 53 professional bouts to his credit at this point. So chase or fade the upstart, handling his business as the favorite coming in at minus 155.
I'm going to chase Madsen in this fight. Madsen is a world-class wrestler. He won a silver medal at the 2016 Olympics in Greco-Roman wrestling. And Greco's a little bit different than MMA wrestling. Greco is just a lot of upper body takedowns. But it's really carried over to his MMA career. Like, he had 8 takedowns in his last fight. He's averaging about 7 or 8 takedowns per 15 minutes. And Clay Guida has good wrestling, but not nearly on this level. He really can't hang with Madsen in the wrestling department. And Guida has been around for a long time. He's been fighting since like 2007 in the UFC, I want to say. So he has a lot of fight mileage. And this fight could really be booked to like really put Madsen over. So I'm going to take Madsen in this fight.
Takes us to our main event, my friend, and that is, of course, the men's middleweight division. The spotlight on Jared Cannonier and Kelvin Gastelum, these two getting ready to square off. And, recently, I mean, neither one obviously has been overwhelmingly good their last handful of fights. On the one hand, you have Gastelum just 1-4 his last 5. The other side, Cannonier, 3-2 in his fights with a few knockouts to his credit. So chase or fade Gastelum bouncing back in this one and cashing in on a plus 130.
This is a close fight, but I think I'm going to fade Gastelum. So Cannonier used to be a heavyweight, and then he cut down to light heavyweight. Now he's at middleweight. So he has a big frame. He used to fight at heavyweight. He must have a big frame, right? Like he has a 77-inch reach. So he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage over Gastelum. 6 inches is a lot. Now, Gastelum has fought long opponents before. He fought Israel Adesanya. Izzy has like an 80-inch reach, and he gave Izzy a good fight. But Cannonier, he has really dangerous leg kicks. Like he knocked out Anderson Silva with a leg kick, which you don't see that too often. Like he kicked him right in the knee, and Silva just went down, and that was the end of the fight. So I think Cannonier, I think with that reach advantage, I do lean towards him in this fight. So I'm going to go with Cannonier.
Tim, as you know, the DraftKings Sportsbook doesn't merely offer odds. You got some juicy fight props as well. Anything stand out to you?
Yeah, so we mentioned this before a little bit with the Chase Sherman fight. Chase Sherman by knockout or TKO was plus 120 on DraftKings Sportsbook. 14 of Sherman's 15 career wins are by knockout. So if you think Sherman's going to win, he's probably going to win by knockout. So if you're thinking about betting Sherman on the money line minus 190, you might as well just take him by knockout, because you can get plus odds at plus 120 for that. And half of Porter's career losses are by knockout. And Porter is absorbing a ton of strikes. He's absorbing over 7 significant strikes per minute. And at heavyweight, if you're taking a lot of punches, that's, you're playing with fire, because heavyweights weigh more. They have more force behind their punches. So Chase Sherman by knockout plus 120 on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Last one for you. It's not just betting, of course. You have DFS, daily fantasy. So what stands out to you? Do you have favorite plays for this weekend?
I'm going to go right back to Chase Sherman. He's one of the higher priced fighters on the slate. He's over 9,000. But like I just said, I think he's in a good spot for a knockout win, because Porter absorbs a ton of strikes, over 7 significant strikes per minute. Half of his career losses are by knockout. And Chase Sherman, 14 out of his 15 career wins are knockouts. So there's a good chance for a knockout in this fight. And with all that striking volume, I think I would just pay it for Sherman.
Tim Finnegan, auto knockout when it comes to providing you information. Thank you, sir.
Great to be on.